listening to music, just adjust the things, you know.
Yeah.
So I always say we have to find a way to make it accessible to people, a simple unit that controls like what we hear. And one day sailing, I had this idea, it was a breakthrough. It's actually a very simple solution. Let's see if I find it here. Yeah. Very simply said, instead of a typical equalizer that we have now, it's the wrong one again. So here we go. So instead of a normal system, like where you have an amplifier, and in the feedback loop you have a stopper frequency, or in this case actually more like 3 different frequencies. The disadvantage of this is that you have phase shift, and you have different feedback or different frequencies. That's no good. It's known that frequency-dependent feedback is not a good idea. When you have phase shift, you can get rid of the resonance, but you're changing the signal too drastically. Now, we do something much simpler, or in some ways simpler. We let the signal pass through from input to output 100%. And then we have an additive subtractive constant phase linearizer pattern. What this means, we subtract or add to the straight-through signal only those critical points, areas of the frequency spectrum we need. The center frequency is set at what you can read here, 50, 200, it's just 2 octaves apart. But the unit is much more versatile than this. I'll give you an example here. Sorry. This is manipulation. This is a simple 6 dB filter, which other equalizer would do as well. It's a very mild correction. You know. This would be the idea. We have a little switch here that says non-symmetrical, symmetrical. Why do we have that? It has nothing to do with the balancing or unbalancing of the cabling, but you have to imagine a resonance is the most objective objective signal that you want. You want to dampen resonances, and resonances are normally sharp. So you have to have more attenuation, then no more subtraction,
and center it up.
And center it. Exactly. That's the idea. Now here we only use one control, as you can see. It's always centered at 800 Hz. But we're not limited to this. If we want to say go to 1200 Hz, what we do, we use the second control. As you can see here, we use 2 controls, and then we can not only attenuate, but we slide the center frequency up. And this is exactly how the brain-ear interaction works. So it's a very simple. Now this gives you the response of a typical equalizer. I'm not mentioning any names, you know. But what you have here is the typical attenuation. Too early, as you can see, we're attenuating frequency which we shouldn't attenuate. And at the frequency we should be attenuating, there's a bump. You know, this is a typical feedback equalizer. And this is what we can do now. As you see, here I slide it down a little bit to 1 kHz. This was 1.2 kHz. Here's all you do is just attenuate. You go with subtraction a little bit higher, and with this slide down. So this way you can not only attenuate, but you can also slide each control over the frequency. And the beauty is, it's only 5 controls. And people think, oh, it's very complex, we can't do that. This is very difficult. I have no background, I have no experience. Very simple. At the center here, there's a detent. This is not just a detent, but actually, this is not a potentiometer, but we have a 4th conductor that guarantees that the thing is in true bypass. You know, so we actually center the thing. Nobody has this in the world, especially for us. And you go here to the center. And all you're doing is you're listening to whatever you want. And you start to turn. And you will hear either it's too much or it's too little. And you can't do anything wrong. You can just say, oh, this is too much. This doesn't sound realistic. This is getting better. Oh, this is too much again. So all you do is do this by listening. And people have a hesitance to do this initially. But I tell you, I've had so many clients that started, I had to use their hand, look, do it, and 3-4 days later they call me, Manuel, I have to show you this. Look at this, how I linearize this. And I say, well, you've got it. And of course, 5 controls you can manage. You can't do anything wrong. And as I said, you need very mild controls, very mild settings. I will do your explanation. So if, for instance, you have a very sharp resonance, like this is extreme, it's very rarely, but if you have one of these old Carusos, you have to dampen that resonance so that you hear a little bit of the background. You know? And that you can do. There's other recordings done which you need very sharp. So what you do again, you combine the settings.
Wow, this is great engineering.
Very simple.
Yeah.
I like simple things that work.
Okay.
You know, that's my credo.